Pavilion area looked great. The fishing cleaning station was clean. Areas for review, none that I could see. Member interactions are none. I'll start over. Restroom was well stocked and clean. Pavilion area looked great. Fish cleaning station was clean. Areas for review, there are none. Additional observations, I noticed a really nice bench. Maybe it's been there before and I haven't noticed it, but this is a nice looking bench next to the fish cleaning station. It looked really like someone had done a refinish job on the thing. And the only other area is the creek that runs there. You've got large rocks that kind of hold that creek together and they're all collapsing there. I don't know if that'll probably be part of the dredging process when they come. Do you know that? Okay.
Yes, you're correct. That'll be part of the dredging process.
Okay. And for me, that is all I have for London. Next is the Branchwood complex for, Branchwood and Loch Lomond.
We're going to start with the Loch Lomond rec area. It was vacant this morning. This is cold, but the bathrooms were clean as usual. Everything looked fine. Area for review, the only thing I saw was that the door to the men's bathroom does not automatically close all the way. It's getting hung up in the top left-hand corner. And additional observations, as you're driving up to the park, there's only one small sign indicating where the park is. It says Loch Lomond Dog Park, I think, 1,000 feet or something like that. It's very small. It's not branded like the rest of the POA amenities are. There's no indication that that's what it is. I've never actually seen it before and passed by there regularly. There are other POA amenity signs like in the yard or across in that golf course area that are POA amenity signs, but they don't include the Loch Lomond rec area. So just something to consider.
So, do you mind if I? So we're addressing the sign issue.
Yeah.
So two different types of signs. The first one is wayfinding signs. Those are the ones with the wave on top and so forth. We're working with the city on getting those renovated because some of them are fading horribly. And so it's a joint effort between the POA and the city. The old gray signs, those are, we finally reached an agreement with the city on what we can and what we can't do. It took a little while, a couple years, and we've repaired 2 of them so far. We went through the entire permit process and it was successful. So now what we're doing is we're stepping back and we're assessing all of the old gray signs, which are about 50 of them. We're going to determine which ones are needed, which ones are not needed anymore, and then we're going to start replacing them as we go along. So that's kind of the sign project. Since we're talking about a large number of signs, I don't anticipate it's going to be done in a short amount of time because it's going to be they're not cheap, and so we can only tick off so many at one time. But the old gray signs have to go. In some cases they're falling down on their own. And they just are nasty looking. So we're working towards repairing all the signs. There's your answer.
I knew that conversation was going on, so that's why I brought it up. There's neither of those kinds of signs for the Loch Lomond rec area. It's just a small, looks like a road sign almost.
It is.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all for Loch Lomond. Related to Branchwood, looks great as usual. It was very busy today. The only area of review is just I've noticed past couple times I've been there that in the indoor pool area, it's starting to show watermarks on the walls. It's like the walls look stained from water. Obviously, it's high humidity area, so it's going to be the case. Yeah. Just around the pool on the inside, water stains. And then another thing or additional observations. My wife was in the fitness area there some weeks ago, and ended up talking to a young lady that was a single mother who had children. And I learned for the first time that the POA policy is that you purchase 2 activity cards, and then after that, a certain number of dependent activity cards are free, 5. And so I batted this around and asked Jessica about it as well, make sure I had this right. But as I kind of ferreted this out, it looks like to me that policy, I just want us to kind of consider that policy only seems to only affect single parents or single people with kids, legal guardianship, grandparents, that kind of thing. And so I was wondering if there is a way we could carve out a way to deal with that, because I think we're losing more in goodwill charging that $30 for an activity card than what we're gaining in. You know what I mean?
So we don't require mom and dad. We just require 2 in the household.
Right.
Because there's so many different life partners.
Sure.
There's so many different iterations. So we just require that 2 in the household get an activity card. After that, they can get 5 activity cards as long as the kids are under the age of 18. So for $60 a year, you can get 77 activity cards. That is an outstanding deal. What we wouldn't want to get into, remember, we think in volume, and so we have 16,500 homes, and to try and modify it based upon a single family is going to be near impossible. So I view it as $60 for 7 activity cards, which gives you unlimited, for a family, gives you unlimited use of the pools, the beach, and that's all they care about, is an outstanding value.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It is. It's a steal. I mean, it is a steal. What I was thinking is maybe a cleaner way to do it is there's also the exception on the other end of, 18 to 22-year-olds or 23-year-olds can still be dependents as long as they're in school or something of that nature. Maybe a cleaner policy even could be all dependents receive a dependent card, but after 18 and you're no longer a minor, it's $30. And you'd probably make up the revenue or more than make up the revenue in a case like that. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Corey. Next up is Larry with Blowing Springs Rec Area.
Yeah, before I got to that, Corey, would you mind either emailing me or just giving me a copy of your stuff? Because I have to attach them to this. Thanks a lot. Blowing Springs in the Gear Garden, overall condition very good. I always speak to whoever's in the booth. It was Bernie this time, who was super nice. She didn't have anything to add to my observations. First campground was about a third full. I'm now getting used to the fact that people come and camp here all year round, and I'm not impressed. There were more campers in the second lot. I didn't see any that I could talk to because it was the middle of the afternoon. It was a beautiful day, and they were not hanging around in the campground. They were probably out on their bikes and to talk to. It was 75 degrees that day. Bernie did tell me, it was interesting, all of those little cabins we have, like there's 4 of them or so, they're already all full for Memorial Day. And so we continue to have excellent attendance, census, say in healthcare in the place. Areas review, nothing that I haven't talked about before, the potholes as you enter the first campground lot, but I know we can't do anything about that, certainly from notwithstanding the one day at 75, it's not 75 today, and you have to have, I forget, what is that, 50 or 55, you can think about.
Yeah, the plants are closed for
asphalt.
winter.
Yeah,
they're not open on a daily basis. They're closed.
Yeah, we put it there won't work. and the paint on the Gear Garden water spigot thingy and the bench of Blowing Springs parking lot, but we've talked about that before. Other than that, I don't have anything. Everything's always spotless. I always compare it to having been raised Catholic, to hearing a nun's confession. Supposedly, they have to make up stuff because they don't do anything wrong. Well, it's kind of, you know, things are in such good shape in our facilities that you don't see much. So anyway, compliment to the staff. That's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. Next is Tyree and Granton Park with Liz.
And I don't disagree with Larry. I feel the same way every time I go to the parks that I look at. So Tyree Park, the lawns and parking area were well maintained and free of trash. Trash cans were all empty. The porta potties were maintained properly. I am starting to check the watercraft this time of year for their 25 decals, and only 2 of the 5 watercrafts that were stored have a 25 sticker, so I'll continue to monitor that in my monthly reviews. And I did notice a large tree that had some limb damage and limbs down near the beginning of the parking lot, but I also noticed a machine nearby. They weren't working that day. I'm assuming they were clearing and fixing that. So, didn't have any interactions with any members at that location. Let's see. Find my other one. Granton Park. The park was well maintained with trash cans empty, porta potties serviced, and landscape clear of trash. One thing I noticed, I don't know if this is our maintenance responsibility or the city, it's about dogs again, but there's a whole bunch of dog poop piles between the porta potty and the fishing dock. Is that something that people aren't picking their stuff up? So I don't know.
It's our park, so it wouldn't be the city.
Okay, okay. I hadn't noticed that before, but I have noticed a lot more dogs, and it just happened to be.
They're not mowing, and when
Okay.
they mow, it.
Yes. Yep.
Distribution.
Okay, so we're not redistributing. Okay, got it. All right, got it. Now I know. Fertilizer, I got it. Okay, okay. And only one canoe, there was 18 watercraft there, and only one had a 25 sticker. So again, I'm sure it's happening now, and I'll watch that. I did have an interaction with a gentleman walking his 2 little dogs. We exchanged pleasantries, and we both agreed the park was just a gem for the POA to visit, and he had no suggestions for improvements on our park. That's all I've got.
Awesome, thank you, Liz.
I have a question. I went in and got my 25 sticker for my kayak. Is there a number on there? So in other words, how would we know who owns the boats that don't have 25
So
stickers?
you get, when you first register, you get
Right.
2 stickers. You get the
Right.
one with the
Square.
personalized number, and the second one.
Well, there is a
with you.
number. I just never noticed.
Yeah,
So,
it's
okay.
the square one and then the round one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then the round one gets changed out.
Right. Well,
And then
most
over
of them.
time, you end up having to get the other one replaced. If you have the kayak or boat or whatever
Yeah.
long enough, you'll have to replace the one with the number on it too.
Just because it gets worn.
It just gets old. I've had my kayaks for 9 years and they're ready to be replaced.
Okay.
So
I
just-
just never noticed.
Just go into member resources, they'll get you a new one.
Oh, I've only had 3 years. Okay, thanks, Mike.
Just curious if that's communicated when, in the sticker packet. You know, I've thought about that, and I wouldn't think to replace my number square sticker. I should, it's logical. And, you know, as we review stickers on boats, it's, to his point, there's no real way to track who's not paying if they let the square sticker fade or disappear. I don't know,
Yeah,
just something to
we
think
can,
about.
we'll look at the registration packet. It's pretty robust and really self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You know, but, and it's not gonna be till April till they start putting the stickers on.
Right.
Not until it gets warm.
mine too, and I have them.
Yeah, it just takes a while.
It just gave me something to look at.
All right, next up is Lake Avalon. I see JP is not here. I've not gotten anything from him, and he's not on Zoom, so
I did
did you get something?
I did get it. but I didn't print it out.
Okay.
But I can pull it up if you wanna pass on
I'll
him
pass for
and
now,
and
and if you
I'll
find
pull
it.
it up.
Okay. We'll move on to Kingsdale, which Richard Taylor's not here. I quickly, myself, went over to BVRC in the Kingsdale area. And there's nothing that I saw there that would be out of anything that we haven't reported before, except for one observation, which is on a building that would be on the west side of the pool. And on the north side roof of that building is heavy condensation, and you can actually see where maybe the chipboard, press board is beginning to sag. And I observed that the turbine is buggered up. So there's no airflow on that end of the building. I've taken pictures, and I got an arrow here. If you need it. Without those turbines, you get no exhaust in the roof. And all that, especially this time of year, all that condensation builds up inside the roof.
You're talking about, Robert, you're talking about if I'm in the fitness center and I look out through those windows?
The first building
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah, that building is split into two, so the one turbine that is gunked up,
Uh-huh.
I would agree, it's just storage. It's separate from anything that is the pump room. So they're separate, they're in the same building, but they're separated.
Separated by,
But the other one, I know, is working,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that one is a little gunked up, but you're saying there's condensation on that
yeah,
roof?
in fact, you can see it on the pictures I took.
Okay.
That's what is, ultimately those are for, is not just to exhaust the heat, but to keep condensation from building up. I discovered this from having to replace about 3 roofs now.
Yeah, that roof on that side is
Yeah.
needs to be looked at.
Yeah, it's,
Thank you.
yeah. And it might be just off its pivot, just put it back on its pivot, so.
Can you just fix it?
Give me a ladder, I might. Yeah, during the ice storm, we'll get up there. So, and that's all I have for Kingsdale. So we will move from here to Lake Ann and Metfield Complex. Keith?
Okay, I'll start with Metfield. Visited late last week. Picnic, pickleball, and playground areas are just in really fine shape. They do a good job maintaining the screens on the pickleball courts, which can get some wear with wind. The clubhouse and workout facilities are well run. The bathrooms are in great shape. Member interactions, ran into a couple, Randy and Penny, who've lived here for about 10 years. They love our amenities, like most do. They use the workout facilities, golf courses, trails, and restaurants. Both are very happy with how well our amenities are maintained. And Lake Ann also visited late last week for the Dam Park area, crossing the bridge at the waterfall. And I forgot if I mentioned this last week, but there's some pretty bad erosion when the water laps over some rocky areas below the bridge. It's pushing out the wall. We've had to put some warning signs and tape up, and it's golly, the next big storm. I don't know if they'll be able to still have that area open, or do we know what our plan is? Is there?
Is this at Lake Ann Park?
Lake Ann Waterfall Bridge, just on the other side of the bridge at the.
So
at
that
the
would
dam.
be Rick.
I got it. No.
Nope.
The, the city has FEMA coming in to look at that. And so they're in the process of that. FEMA deals with the city. So, there's plans for it, but it's, as you can imagine, there's a distribution of money is, a little slower, but that's what's going on.
It's gonna be so tough. I hope we can come up with a good, reasonably priced solution.
Yeah, we're really hoping FEMA,
Yeah.
FEMA comes in with a check.
It's
on
such a
that.
great amenity
Yeah.
for those who know it's there. You go after a good rainfall, that
Yeah.
waterfall's beautiful.
It's really something else, but we'll know. It could be any day when we know about that, and then we'll move forward on it.
Awesome.
But yeah, we've been out there a number of times, and
All the areas around there are in good shape. Waterfall and bridge, the dam, docks, all good. Trash cans empty. Bathroom's good. No member interactions. In the launch area, the Christmas trees are still there, waiting to being staged for the fish habitat. Smelling good in that area. The pavilion barbecue area is great. The portalet's good. trash can's good, ramp and cleaning station's good as well. There are 2 canoes that have 23 or later registration. Pictures are included, and there's also one piece of a dock bumper hanging off that's been there a little while, noted in November. Not a lot of use there now, but probably before spring it'd be worth fixing as boat traffic increases. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Keith. Next up is Brian with the gun ranges.
Yeah, so I was out there this last Saturday. It's hard for my schedule to align with the gun range's schedule at this time, specifically Trap and Skeet, because they're only open 3 days a week, but I did get out there on Saturday finally. There's about 16 people out there. About 10, 12 of them were actually active shooters when I was out there, but I did have the opportunity to get to talk to some people and get some positive feedback for a change. Basically, the theme is that the people who go out there have been going out there for the most part, have been going out there for a considerable amount of time, many, many years since it opened, so there is regulars out there. People, they like to use that amenity. They like the staff, specifically Carol and Riley out there. They find them to be extremely helpful, very nice people to deal with. I did go by the pistol and rifle ranges just to check on progress, and I'm sure that Tom will cover the details of that, but I went ahead and grabbed some pictures. Stuck them on Facebook today. I haven't had time to read any of the feedback, but when I looked at my phone just on my way here, I saw that I had a considerable amount of notifications, so I hope to be positively addressing any issues that anybody might have. There has been complaints in the past, I know, on social media with the timing. Is to be expected, certainly, but try to get everybody on the same page. Look forward to those facilities opening again soon. I hope Tom will let us know. Obviously, it won't be this month based on what I saw. Something interesting, and John can certainly back me up on this if I get this wrong. I was not aware that we harvested lead at the Trap and Skeet range. And just a little FYI for you folks, they're anticipating over 180,000 pounds of lead to be scraped off the ground at the back end of the range. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing, that you went out and harvested that, but especially 180,000 plus pounds of it. So other than that, it's all good. Next month I hope to be reporting on some of the physical characteristics of the Trap and Skeet area that might need to be addressed, but I'll wait and do that. The rest I'll leave up to Tom.
All right, thank you, Brian. Today I'm covering for Alan, who was unable to make it, but he did manage to get his report to me. So we'll start with Tanyard Creek. Overall condition: with the cold wintry weather, park activity was slow. Park is working well, providing paved and soft trails for hikers, nature seekers, and pet walkers. The park is very well maintained, clean of litter, and aesthetically pleasing. Areas for review: asphalt paved pathways around the entrance from the park lot or next to the pavilion have several areas that need patching. I believe we brought that up before. Let's see, interactions, visitors from surrounding communities were very complimentary of the cleanliness and the park's beauty. Additional observations: a trail extension from the bathroom area to the Tanyard Creek Golf parking lot would be a parking enhancement. I believe that's a suggestion. So next up was the Blowing Springs Greenway. Overall condition: clean of, BSGT is clean of litter and well maintained. Areas for review: trail edge from the front parking lot to Houston Road needs vegetation removal before spring growth cycle begins. Curves on the BSGT needs vegetation removed to accommodate a clear eyesight for two-way traffic of bikes, walkers, or with those with pets. Member interactions: bikers complement the connectivity and well-maintained trails. Additional observations: a water bottle fill station located at the front parking area would, or a bottle filling station would be useful at the front parking area. Yeah.
Outside of the gate, just before the gate.
Okay. I believe that's what he meant. He doesn't have pictures, so. And that's all I have for Alan at this time.
I managed to pull up JP's Avalon report, if you want.
All right,
to do
you would
that.
like to read that off?
Yes, beach is closed for the season, yeah. There was a family playing on a zip line. I did not know there was a zip line there.
Yeah.
And where does it run from?
It's a short one.
Very short. But like here to the wall.
Oh, is it near the beach?
Yeah.
Oh. There was a family playing there and in a sand pit, technically on the beach taking family photos. The dock on the dam side looked in excellent condition. There was an issue in the heated dock, which I know we just did. Looks like someone started a fire in the building, and one of the benches and the floor in front of the bench are damaged. And he actually sent me a picture. You'll end up in the minutes, but of it looks like scarring on the bench and on the floor of the dock. That's uncool. Restrooms remain closed. Can we post when they will be open again? That's a question.
I guess we could post. We do in the spring.
When do we open the beach?
In the spring. Well, on Memorial Day.
Oh, Memorial Day? Okay.
I know JP had said something about that before, so there is a plan. Roland has worked out a plan with MAC to go forward with Village Wastewater and ourselves to get the restrooms fixed. But yeah, they are closed for the season,
Okay.
but they will open.
These are the
Hopefully they'll
restrooms
open in
that-
April, actually, is what we're shooting for the pavilion rentals.
Oh, okay. Are the I mean, I've taken my boat out there, but are the restrooms where the little snack stand is or something at the beach?
It's connected to the pavilion.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And you missed the zip line when you went out there?
I have acrophobia. I mean, I ski, but I close my eyes on ski lifts, just open them a little bit to see where I
Right.
get near the end.
This
So
is
much I
not a
like
high-
skiing.
This is not a high. It's off the.
You could do it.
I
You
could
could
do
it,
it.
off the
Lawrence.
ground. That's it.
All right, no Xanax
Hey,
required. or-
Adults too. It's like 350 pounds.
Okay, I've just never noticed it. Member interaction, none. Staff interaction, none, and that was it. So the main thing is that some clown set a fire in the, he thinks he's ice fishing in Minnesota or something like that. Anyway, that is JP's report.
I'll just comment, yeah, we have two major projects happening there in the next 6 to 8 weeks or so. One will be addressing the restroom area, and the other is we do get a large order of sand, which takes a day or two, so that will be imported fairly soon too, so you'll see a lot of movement there in the next 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, that restroom is on sewer, and it's at the very bottom of the hill, and we've had consistent problems with the lift stations. That's it. And then the sand gets delivered typically just prior to a major rainstorm. Usually what happens, and then half of it goes away.
All right, thank you, Larry. We now have Tom with our gun range update. It's under current business.
All right, here we go. That same picture I just keep on using. It's a real old one, but you can see some of the crew that works on it. The timeline has shifted just a little bit. We're now looking at the end of February, possibly early March. The weather in January was not kind to us, and it caused some delays. Archery range will end up opening after the gun and rifle because we have to do additional work at the archery range, and so we felt it would be best to get the gun and the pistol and rifle opened as soon as possible. So here's an overview, and so on the left-hand side is the pistol range, right-hand side is the rifle, and in the middle is the archery. And I'm going to zoom in on each of these and explain a little bit. But it really gives you kind of a whole overall view. The entrance is at the bottom of your screen right now. And so here is the pistol side. And what I'm trying to point out, Notice how there's berms all the way around. The last time we had a presentation, the berm on the right-hand side had not been completed. So there's the berm creates a horseshoe, but also look at the baffles, how that is fully enclosed. So that's pretty neat. And then we have a storage unit at the bottom, on the bottom right, that's gonna provide us with a lot of additional area. We don't, in that building that we have, that little cinder block hut, there's barely enough room to turn around in that thing. So also notice on the left-hand side, bottom left, you'll see those darker lines. Those are the irrigation. We're getting ready to put the irrigation in there. Our golf course maintenance team is doing that for us. So that will make sure that the grass grows, which is a good thing.
Before we leave that,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Since I apologize, I've never been out there. Actually, I think it was closed when I moved here. How does one get the targets out and retrieve them? Because I'm used to going to indoor ranges where you push a little button, target goes out.
You run really fast. Oh.
Okay.
Zigzagging a little bit. No, what we're
I
gonna
should bring my Kevlar or what?
What we're going to have is the range will go dark. We'll have a range master that will say all shooting stops.
Okay.
We're going to have set time frames as to when that occurs, so you'll be able to know, and then everybody will go out and then come back at the exact same time. It'll be very organized. Before, it used to be more informal. You used to talk to the person next to you, and we found afterwards, after we had shut down, started talking about safety, and people said, oh, I saw this, I saw this, I saw this, and it really got our attention, and so we're going to have it much more structured from here on out. So,
Thank you.
but the running fast and zigzagging does work also.
Still a great idea.
Still a great idea.
Okay.
So here's what it looks like, and I included this because you can see the wing walls or the side walls. It really gives you kind of an idea of how it's enclosed, and you can see the mounds on all the way in the back. So that's still on the pistol side. This is the archery area. Once again, all those black lines, that's where the irrigation is going. And you'll notice that they have not started the hut, the shoot house, the covering where you're going to be shooting from, and that's that concrete strip. So they're still working on that. So we're going to be delayed by a little bit. And then here is the rifle side. You can see the clarity of the image. The resolution went downhill because I really wanted to zoom in. And this photo's a little bit older, so we've made a lot of progress since then. But you can clearly see the 3 baffles, and also you can see the horseshoe created by the berm. So it really gives you an idea. And then you can see the shooting positions. And so we have 5 on the left, 5 seated, 1 is raised prone position, and then 6 more on the right-hand side. So we've actually significantly increased the number of shooting positions for the rifle side, and having a raised prone position, which makes sure that when you're laying down and shooting, you're going to be shooting at the same height as everybody else. That way it makes sure that you aren't able to start low and then get over the baffles.
Just a quick question, Tom. I noticed certainly on the pistol side, and the social media post that I made earlier today, I did forget and leave out the ballistic panels. Are there going to be ballistic panels on the rifle
Hold
side
that
as
thought.
well? Okay, absolutely.
Hold that thought. Here is them hydro seeding. So this is on the rifle side. And so you can see the image in the middle as the guy is actually putting it down. And then the right and the left, you can see the berms with the hydro seed on it. That's going to grow up. It's going to, and it'll also hold it together. What's really good is they packed those berms so well. We've had a number of heavy rainstorms, and those have not degraded. But having vegetation on there is going to help it even more so. This is the structure of the shoot house for the rifle side. So they've made a little bit more progress since this photo was taken, but they still haven't put down the planking or the roofing shingles at all. So making progress on that. On the right side image, on the left portion of the right image, you can see the prone shooting position that you'll be able to get up on and lay down and shoot. Previously, people would shoot from the ground, and we're trying to get people to avoid that. Here's what the baffles are getting finalized, and they're raking all that. So some of it will be grass, and some of it will be this gravel. Also, here is the ballistic panels. So if you look at the center top image, you can see that there's where the walkway is. And so when the walkway is not in use, this panel crosses over. That way you can't go left or right, depending upon your shooting position, and shoot through that opening. And these are ballistic panels. They're rated for a normal round. I'm looking at John.
Correct, yep.
We haven't tried it yet, but they come with, or have we?
We have tried it.
We have tried it, and it worked well?
It worked well.
Outstanding. And here is, they're working on the side wall, on the far left-hand photo. Actually, I think I used the same image twice. That's the side one that will tie in together. And also notice the metal cap on top. That'll, anytime you have water sitting on top, it starts to degrade. So that metal cap is going to help preserve it. And then the fencing is almost 100% done. So the fencing is all the way around the exterior. And then here's where the irrigation is being installed. We talked about that we're making the facility much more handicap compliant, accessible. And so this is a railing that is required, taking you from the parking spot to the check-in hut. So that was required by code. So to kind of give you a recap, we're going back to that same image that we started with, and you see that we've added the perimeter fencing. We're currently installing the irrigation. The storage unit has been installed. The berms have been finalized. This image was taken before the hydro seeding went in, but you can imagine all the berms being green now. The rifle range cover has been installed, or it's under installation. The range side baffles installed, meaning the sides. The ballistic doors have been installed. And also I want to note the number of work vehicles. I had some question, well, are you guys really working hard out there to get it done? And look at all the vehicles that are involved in there. So I count maybe 10, 12 vehicles right now. So the team is doing their best to get out there and get this done. Questions?
Yeah, again, another ignorant question. Do we offer safety clearance, gun safety clearance?
So we have offered a basic pistol class in the past, and we'll pick that up again whenever we can get back out on the range. Of course, that requires for the range to be shut down. We don't want to do that right out the gate. However, I'm going to put up a series of documents. At least in the beginning, it's going to be a series of documents that will kind of detail the range procedure, how to be safe on the range, that sort of thing. As we get a more finished product out of the range, we're going to publish a series of videos that kind of clue everybody in as to what situations you'll see out on the range. But yeah, so that's kind of the whole ball of wax, as it were. But in the interim, we'll be publishing a set of documents.
Yeah, I was thinking more of sort of standard, especially pistol safety. People asked about that, about acquiring their first weapon. So do we do that? I'm not saying we should, I'm just saying do we?
We will be again in the future.
Yeah, not related to the range per se, just
right.
How do you handle the sidearm. Okay.
Yep, for, gosh, I think we probably did that the previous 6 or 7 years. We did a basic pistol class.
Awesome.
And that particular course goes for about 3 days, so it's pretty in-depth.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions?
You didn't actually respond, Tom.
I
about
didn't.
The ballistic panels between the shooting stations on the rifle side.
We're not gonna have them over there. We only have it on the pistol side, not on the rifle side. And the pistol side, it's a more common thing to occur, to point, where with the long, with a rifle, it's a little bit more challenging. With the pistol side, I think I realized this. We actually watched some videos of gun range accidents, and the individual had a jam on his pistol. He went like this, cleared it, and then fired it and hit his friend next to him. And now the ballistic panels aren't going to solve that because the person was right next to him, but that's a more common error to make, mistake to make, than putting a rifle all the way around. We're still going to have a range master. The range master is going to be much more active than previously. One of the other things that we saw in watching these videos of people making mistakes, we saw one where the person was trying to video themselves and was, doing all this stuff, and the range master physically grabbed them by the back of their neck and walked them out of the facility and said, "You're leaving," because they were like doing this and pointing at, I don't think we're going to physically grab someone by the back of their neck, but they're going to be escorted off the property. They can come back at a later time because we're just not going to tolerate that kind of behavior.
Will there be a single range master, or will there be one for both pistol and rifle?
There will be one for both pistol and rifle, and as well as an attendant inside the building. Well, a range officer inside the building.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the available information too, John, because I did talk to a couple on Saturday over at Trap and Skeet, and that's one of the things that they brought up is, where's that detailed information? And I told them that if it didn't get put on the website, I would make sure that somebody got it on the website. And so I'm glad you addressed that.
So the way we think it will work, at least for now, is of course you'll be able to access it on the website, but whenever you this will be something that you're gonna have to access in order to be able to access the range. So you'll come to the gun range. If you have not previously went through and read all of that documentation, there will be a QR code there you can scan, just like a lot of places where you go in and you sign that waiver of liability, same sort of setup.
And you'll enjoy this. The name of the show that we were watching that had all the errors at the gun range was called the Darwin Award.
Very good. Yeah. All right, thank you, Tom. New business. I need to remind the committee, my phone went off, that we have 3 terms expiring in June. That would be Alan, who's not here, JP, who's not here, and Robert, who is here. So if you guys are listening in, anything, if you intend not to join us for another term, let me know in advance, if you would. Moving on, we have board liaisons. Deborah, Jeff, and I believe Kathleen. Everybody's here today. Anybody would like anything to add today?
Yeah, I'd just like to again say thank you. I think last time I talked, I mentioned the importance that you all as a committee bring to the management team and staff, because obviously their eyes and ears can't be everywhere, and so those little gaps get filled by what you bring to light. But I want to also emphasize the importance that you, as well as the other 2 JACs, bring to the board, to us. There's a lot of ground to cover in this organization. There's a lot of complexity to this POA. And there isn't a one of us that knows everything about everything. But what you guys do help us do is focus and help us understand what people are talking about, what long-term initiatives we need to be thinking about, and what, most importantly, our POA members are telling you, because we can't talk to all 39,000 of them or however many. So again, I say that to say what you do is very important to this organization and to your community, and I just want to say thank you for the attention and the importance that you put on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Anyone
I
else?
would second those comments. I do have a question, John. These classes, is that something you're gonna do in-house? Or is it where you bring out outside certified instructors?
So previously, we've had a contractor that would come in for us that's certified by the NRA.
Yeah.
Going forward, not quite sure. That's kind of up in the air.
Right,
As of
I'm
right
just thinking from a liability standpoint.
Right.
Okay.
No, just echo what Deborah said. Thank you for your time and attention that you bring to all of our amenities. It's super important. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. I'm gonna try to keep us on time after last month's meeting, I'm really trying not to run over. We now have our POA staff reports, and a little change up here. We'll start with Tom.
Real quick, the deadline, if you are interested in serving on the board of directors, the deadline is the 17th, February 17th at 4 p.m. We already had our last of 3 informationals last week, and so that's all I wanted to cover. I think I've spoken enough for the day.
All right, Rick is not here. John, are you filling in for Rick today?
I am filling in for Rick,
Okay.
but I'll try to be brief.
No worries.
So over at Lakes and Parks, we still got the Lake Norwood drawdown going on. That started on November 4th, and will go till March 3rd, give or take. Of course, as always, whenever we close, or in this case, it's not closing gates, but when we stop drawing water out of the lake, you still have to allow Mother Nature to refill that lake. So, but that's still on schedule. We will be dredging the backside of, or actually the upper end of Lake Norwood. We'll be pulling out some of the leaf pack and detritus and that sort of thing that's collected over the years back in that area and restoring some of the fish habitat. However, I've had all the heavy equipment crew out on the gun range, so just as soon as they're done over there, they'll move over to Lake Norwood. We're also going to lengthen the boat ramp over at Lake Norwood, and we need just a little bit more water out of the lake before we can start that project. So, but we're really close. POA Rangers for the month of January made 1,377 contacts. Year over year, January 2024, they made 674. So apparently January of last year was not kind to us either, but we got more than double contacts last month. Grounds maintenance, we have posted 2 part-time grounds maintenance worker positions. That will be, we lost 1 employee, and then 1 is moving over to the gun range. The Lake Brittany well pump is going to be off for the next couple of days, but that's been pumping water for a couple months now. So far it's moved almost 25 million gallons of water into Lake Brittany. So, and I think it's come up right around 29 inches. We also did a prescribed burn on the Loch Lomond Dam. If you guys were out there, saw the smoke, we were successful in that. The dam didn't burn quite as well as we had wanted. Weather just wasn't quite there for us. But we are going to plan to burn the Lake Brittany Dam as well, just as soon as the weather will allow. With Lake Ecology, there will be trout stocking in February, March, and April of this year. We're still collecting Christmas trees over at Lake Ann Park. We would have probably already started that project, but again, we've got everybody out at the gun range trying to wrap that project up as quickly as possible, so we're still taking Christmas trees. Let's see, what else do we have? In the spring, we will be conducting some surveys at our boat ramps to try and gather things about catch rate and that sort of thing. So basically, you'll just have a POA employee that will approach fishermen. They'll be trying to just see how your day of fishing went, what would you like to see happen, just some basic information we'll be gathering in the spring. So if you see those folks when you're out fishing, please give them a few minutes. And then lastly, over at the gun range, I think weather must have really been bad last January because our attendance was up year over year, 20% in spite of the inclement weather that we had this past January. You covered most of that. Lead reclamation. So we actually gathered 162,000 pounds worth of lead. We do that about every decade or so. It's the same company has been doing it the last few times, but they got 162,000 pounds, which is a lot more than we actually thought. But they did go out into some of the more outer lying areas. We're able to gather a bit more. And then lastly, I do have gun range positions posted online, so if anybody's interested, please apply. We're building a really impressive team. So far, I've got 5 of the 6. I've still got 1 open spot. Officially 4, but I think we've got a really promising 5th, and it's going to be a really impressive team. So anybody knows the 6th, please have them apply. And that's all I've got.
All right, thank you, John. Next up is Trey with their Trails and Outdoor Recreation report. And I believe the the count.
Yeah, the trail count. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm sure Joan went over this maybe when she started, and maybe she went over it again, but I want to kind of start at 0 and talk about what the trail numbers are, what they mean for us. Since this is my first time giving them. We've got 7 trail counters around Bella Vista. They read when someone walks past them. That's all the data that they get. So if you parked and walked past one, did a mile loop and came back, it would count 2. And then the numbers that I'm giving you are just, this is the raw numbers. We're not taking that information and then extrapolating what we think our actual trail usage is from that. This is the number of counts that we got. Because of that, the number that I'm about to say for the month isn't anywhere near what actual trail usage is. There's something better than 300 places where you can legally get on the trail in Bella Vista, and we're checking 7 of them. The numbers are good information though, because we can look at changes over time and compare the same spot last year, 5 years ago, and then we can also see where people are going. If one place is less popular, another place is more popular. So there's great information from that, but it's important to note that the 13,340 trail counts from last month is not 13,000 usage or 13,000 people. So we were down 41% from the month before, but everybody was outside at least a little bit last month. It was super cold, but we're up 26% from last January. And that number, as we go through time, where we were that month the year before, that number is the important one. So we want to see if we're trending, are more people using or less people using. Some point maybe we'll hit a plateau. It hasn't happened in 9 years, maybe it'll happen. So we'll keep our eyes out for that. We can also tell where the most people are at. And again, this month, the highest numbers are the Blowing Springs Greenway. That's where we're getting the most people at. That area is concentrated, that's bringing everybody in. So people are using the trails that connect off the Greenway and then getting back on the Greenway. People are just using the Greenway. And people, most important thing for that trail is that people are using it every day. People are doing their daily walk on the Greenway, which for a place that doesn't have very much sidewalk, that's the biggest value that we get out of that Greenway is people are in a protected area. Handicapped, strollers, dogs, everybody's good there. The biggest growth this month compared to last year is at the Huntley Gravity Zone, which is the Big Kid Bike Park. We saw our numbers went from 890 last year to 3,000 this year in a month. That number for Bella Vista, it's cool for us to see. For the wider area, that's a huge deal and is it's important for Northwest Arkansas and what we're seeing, because we're finally seeing that people who mountain bike here are getting good. We have a lot of mountain bikers. We have a lot of trail. We're now getting a lot of talent. So the kids who couldn't ride bikes even when we first built Back 40 are now 18 years old and old enough to do whatever they want, and they are flipping and flying over at Huntley. And we are now not just a destination for people to come to, but we are growing a crop of mountain bikers that are going to start being the professional mountain bikers, and the mountain bikers that are kind of making change in the sport of mountain biking, which is took a long time to do that, but it's really starting to happen. And that's one of the things, is there didn't used to be 3,000 people who could ride on Huntley in Northwest Arkansas, and now in a month we're seeing that many trips. So, like I say, won't get as in depth every meeting, but that's what I'm looking at. That's the important stuff that we're getting out of those numbers. Everybody saw we're getting a bike park, a new bike park here in Bella Vista. That's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be a big deal for a long time. The governor's talking about it. There's been 100 stories. They announced it. It's going to be a little bit before we get all the information on it, but they did put plans out. I think they're available to the public today, but they put them out previously for bids. There's going to be a skyline. It'll be dragging people up the mountains and letting them come down. So us and Mena, our park here and the park that Amina will be going in at about the same time, and there's going to be some back and forth with that. We don't have any. We're not doing timelines yet, but there will be an art walk. There will be trails that are just for hiking, just for walking. Those will be, and like I say, I haven't put the designs out, but so you can go there even if you're not interested in taking a ski lift up and bombing down. There's going to be a lot of stuff. There's going to be kind of some family stuff, a restaurant. There's going to be some shopping up there. So it's going to be a destination. The highlight will be the lift, but it's going to be a place for everybody. Going to be some good stuff in there. Like I say, we'll keep real updates. Will be a little ways off on that. We have a couple of projects during the winter. We try not to do too much maintenance on the trail that's not absolutely necessary, because if the new dirt doesn't get packed down, then when it freezes and thaws, it kind of moves what we just did. It just slowly moves it out. But we are getting ready to do repair on the bridge walkway that's at 71 in Trafalgar. That's been kind of on Back 40. You can see it from 71 and Trafalgar when you park there, kind of off in the woods up on the cliff face. We're doing some repairs there that were a long time coming. Some switchbacks at Tanyard are going to get worked on, and that's going to be a volunteer deal. We're going to bring in volunteers from Bella Vista to work with some professional builders, trail builders, and start a educational work day session. We're going to do some stuff where the people who are weed eating and raking, we're going to do some training on a little bit of higher level volunteer work, which is something they've been asking for and something we've wanted to do for a little while. And then coming up in the spring, which we touched on, this is the year, every 2 or 3 years, we do a big cutback at Blowing Springs, where we take the vegetation and invasive species way, way back. And this year is that year. And so as we talked about with the kind of as the greenway curves around, the sight lines is a problem. We're going to cut a lot of that back. So there'll be it's going to be a Blowing Springs buzz cut here in the spring. So and that always makes it look so much nicer up there. It's a big deal. So that's what's happening with trails.
I have a quick question, just real quick. So the art walk and the dining that they're talking about, and I know you said the plans come out today, but am I gonna, let's say you're a family, am I gonna get on that lift and I'm going up to that? Or is that down here?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah, how the access and stuff is still going to be up. And like a lot of things, big projects like this especially, there'll be some rumor, it'll be a while before we know.
Before we know if it's down or up. Okay.
So I got two things real quick, Trey. Number one, where will these plans, where are they available to be viewed?
They're online. I don't know if it's the Blue Cranes.
Both and on Facebook as well.
So, yeah, you can see them on Facebook.
Okay.
Other
And then,
details, as a matter of fact.
Secondly, you mentioned some significant clearing there at the Blowing Springs area. I know that being on this committee for the last couple of years, it's been brought up way too many times about the vegetation that's growing out into the road that accesses the park on the south side, just shortly past I'll call it the guard shack. I know it's not a guard shack, but it grows out onto the road. Basically, if there's two vehicles that are passing each other,
Okay.
you're gonna
In the
scrape.
park.
There's no two ways about it. Could we possibly maybe finally get that stuff cut back a little bit and off the road?
Yeah, we trim that up a little bit. The guys come through and trim that up a little bit, kind of as much as they can when they have time during the year. But we're bringing a team in that's going to take that way back. This will be part of that. Yeah, or that will be part of this. Yeah.
I have a couple questions. On the the new thing that's been announced, what is the POA's role? Are we gonna be
I'm going to be riding. I don't know what you guys
Trey,
are gonna
let me
do.
jump in. I think we gotta be really careful. This is not a POA project. We're
Right, that's why I'm
aware of
asking.
it. There are neighbors. That land is not part of the POA.
Yeah.
So I encourage everybody.
Is it
to-
even in Bella Vista or is it in Bentonville?
I think it's Bella Vista, but there is
It's
that,
pretty close.
that area is really kind of dicey. So I encourage you guys to go on to their website,
Okay.
and to learn about it from them as opposed to us, because I don't want us to potentially accidentally misrepresent anything, or, this is not our project.
So we won't be maintaining?
No. No, this
It's
is
a
not,
nice amenity, but it's not ours.
it is
Okay.
not ours.
The second thing is, since I do the visitations at Blowing Springs, where is this vegetation coming? So if anyone's asking me when I'm out there.
From the guard shack
Yeah.
back to the arboretum is where they're going to clear. At
Okay.
both sides,
Along the road? or
along the
both
road,
sides?
back up behind the RV parking,
Okay.
around the, all
Okay.
along the greenway. It's just, they're just going in and just, everything's going back.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
All right, thank you, Trey. Roland, you're up.
Yes, thank you. This previous Saturday, we had the annual Rotary Winterfest at BVRC. 350 people attended. Children alone was 177 registered for it, so quite successful. Mark everybody's calendar. The annual Easter egg hunt is April 19th. One of the biggest events we offer here in the community, the Recreation Center. Happy to announce that Metfield got some new equipment here earlier or late last week. It was called a shake plate. We also have similar equipment, like for example at the BVRC. So that's nice that we've got a new piece in there. Projects coming up. The pickleball courts at Branchwood are going to be getting new gates installed. 2 new gates. That should be happening in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. That will allow players to walk on the court with not interrupting other games as they're happening. Lake Avalon, as mentioned earlier, we got some projects coming up there. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Any questions?
At Branchwood, did you say those gates, they're gonna start working on those next week?
In the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
yeah. It's
Okay.
the contract signed. We're waiting for the green light, so when they can start, and we'll put up the proper signage and let the pickleballers know that it might be interrupted in those courts at that time.
So you would not probably need to close the courts, perhaps the 1 or 2 affected?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the great news. That'll be very welcome and appreciated.
All right, thank you, Roland. Our next committee meeting is March 10th at 4 p.m. Yeah, couldn't read that.
Oh, sorry, Robert, real quick, since it's March 10th. So at BVRC, for anybody that is interested, we're having some yoga workshops. They're one day. A couple of them are gonna be free to the membership, and they're gonna be a good hour. There's gonna be yoga restorative, yin yoga. So I encourage people to come by there or call, because those dates are about to be posted. We know the dates, so you can call there, but they're gonna be really good for anybody who's just interested in beginning and starting yoga. This is gonna be, two of them will cost and are more extensive. Two of them are gonna be free for the membership.
Did you say that it's before the next meeting? Mark?
One
Two of them will be?
Two of them, for sure one, I believe two of them, it might be March 11th when the second one is, but I just want to get that out there before the next meeting.
I'm assuming the dates will be on the website.
Yeah, and they'll also be posted all over at BVRC and A-Frames, and you can call too to get signed up for it. So, check it out.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this meeting is adjourned.